Okay. All right, it is 6 o'clock. It's Monday, July 7th, 2025. We'll start the meeting off with a roll call.
Pledge of Allegiance, Mayor.
Oh, that's item 2. Okay, we'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Or I mean, the roll call. Roll call.
Simonson,
Yes.
Rickrell,
Yes.
Lyon,
Yes.
Colister,
Yes.
Coleman, Alinger,
Yes.
Bennett. Yes.
Okay, can we get approval for tonight's agenda?
Real quick, Mayor.
Oh,
Real
yes,
quick.
please, go ahead.
Have a numerical order error in this agenda. Item 7, consent agenda, and then it falls back to item 6, old business on the next item. Like to seek a motion to amend the agenda to start in with the correct numerical order, starting with item 8, old business. So from item 8, old business on, it will follow the correct numerical order. So the next one will be item 9, new business, and so forth.
Okay, a motion by Colister, seconded by Alinger. Any discussion on this? Take the roll.
Rickrell,
Yes.
Lyon,
Yes.
Colister,
Yes.
Alinger,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Simonson.
Yes.
Okay, now I'd ask for approval of today's agenda. Motion by Colister,
Second.
seconded by Bennett. Any discussion? Then take the roll.
Lyon,
Yes.
Colister,
Yes.
Alinger,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Simonson,
Yes.
Rickrell.
Yes.
All right, our next agenda item is public participation. Is there anybody in the audience who wish to get up and talk to the city council? Anybody on Zoom? Okay, we'll move on. Next is our consent agenda.
Present.
Oh, excuse me, presentation. A presentation for Jackson County and the Maquoketa Police Department. Brendan Ziman will come up and make the introductions and take it away.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, for the last several months, you've heard me probably talk about our co-responder program and some of the things we've done with that. So tonight, Taylor Marshall is here. She is our co-responder, and she is going to give you some ideas of what's been going on and maybe some of the numbers that we've done and some success stories. So, Taylor?
Hi.
Hello.
Hi there.
I told her to look at me awkwardly for the slides, so there it was.
Good job.
So I'm Taylor Marshall. I'm the Jackson County co-responder through the Robert Young Center, and then Assistant Chief Jason Thompson. I put him on here because he's a very big advocate for my position and representing us throughout the state. So just a little bit about me. I am married for almost 6 years now. I have 2 kids, Hazel, who is 5, Lincoln, who is 2. I have 2 dogs, Milo, who is a lab, and my husky, who is Hurricane. I went to college at the University of Northern Iowa, graduated a few years ago, got my bachelor's in psychology and criminal justice. I've been living in Maquoketa since 2017, and in my spare time, I tell people I'm a mom, so my job is just to entertain my kids and find things to do with them. So the pilot project began in Clinton. So the co-responder position started in Clinton in 2019. We first just started having 2 co-responders right around part-time, because again, very, very new thing. We found that it was becoming really successful, so we wanted to expand throughout eastern Iowa. So we expanded to Muscatine in 2022, and we picked up 3 co-responders, again, still part-time because we're still getting people, welcoming to the idea of a co-responder. And again, we are riding with law enforcement, so we had to have the officers in agreeance to us too. And then in March 2023, Family Resources took on the contract to provide jobs to co-responders. And they started servicing in the Maquoketa area. And then Maquoketa hired, in August 2023, the full-time co-responder. Again, this was just through Family Resources, and then unfortunately in April 2024, Family Resources, their contract for this position specifically did get cut. And so then it took a little while to find, okay, who's gonna contract us again? So then Robert Young Center was generous enough to give us a contract in June of 2024. So I will say too, before I took on the co-responder position, I was the adult care coordinator for the Eastern Iowa Crisis System, which is still, it's a whole different topic for another day. But so I was the adult care coordinator. I started taking time out of that position to volunteer my time for the co-responder because last summer we did not have one anymore. And then I found out I really liked this position a lot. I applied and got hired full-time in October of last year. And then come July 1st of this year, so a week ago, Robert Young Center added the co-responder position to the CCBHC contract, which again, that's more stuff for him because he represents us through the ASO board. So basically, we are through the CCBHC grant, through the state and maybe the federal. Again, that's more his conversation because we went through from being regions to now we are districts, and yeah, that's a topic for another day because it's a whole conversation. Go next. So what is a co-responder? So you guys can read that, but I'm gonna not read that word for word. I'm gonna kind of talk about like how I feel what is a co-responder. So basically we ride around with law enforcement officers because we are wanting to respond to all the calls related to mental health, substance abuse addiction, people who are experiencing homelessness, loss of employment, domestic violence, literally whatever you name it, I'm there. I do ride with them only Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. I'm not 24/7. I'm not on call. Unfortunately, sometimes I wish I were. So anyway, the model aims to prevent us. So we want to have people not go to jail. We don't want people to go to the hospitals for a committal. So this is where I come into play. I help mediate the officers from arresting an individual or saying, oh, they need to be committed. So I help come and de-escalate them from going to jail or from going to the hospital. And I can also enhance safety of the individuals and the officers because again, I will tell them like, hey, let me talk to this individual alone because some officers are intimidating. Some people do not like law enforcement officers. And I strictly will tell these people that I'm more helping. I am not law enforcement. I just ride with them. So don't consider me a police officer. I'm someone else entirely. And some people truly feel comfortable talking to me more than talking to a police officer. I do cover the entire county of Jackson County. So I typically am with the Maquoketa officers primarily. I do ride with some deputies. I also help out in Preston and Bellevue and sometimes Sevilla. The school districts also have utilized me a lot. I've been at the Preston School District a lot. The courthouse, when I say the courthouse, so I assist with district court a lot on Fridays. So what that means is when they have courts, some people are not gonna like what they're being told at courthouse. They're not gonna be like, oh, I'm getting sentenced to prison. And they didn't know they were gonna go to prison. They thought they would get released. So they typically start escalating and they start getting emotional. So I come in, I'm right there on scene already and help de-escalating them instead of it getting worse. And, you know, I'm just trying to mediate with them. I also help out with the local hospitals typically, and it's hard because in the hospitals, they do have their own trainings on how to help de-escalate people in a mental health crisis. But I'm also like, I'm right here. And again, instead of having them fully be committed, maybe I can come in and help de-escalate them more and just get them back into their home and provide them with resources. So kind of a couple things I've already mentioned is the benefits of me, I'm reducing arrests, I'm reducing mental health committals, I'm improving response to crisis situations. And another thing I do too is I really educate the community, the citizens that I'm assisting, I really educate them on contacting mobile crisis, which I'll explain too. And I also, I just educate them on what's the difference between contacting 911, what's the difference between contacting the emergency department, your normal doctor, because we have a gentleman who calls 911 frequently because he's constipated. And so I've gone to him, I've really educated him, like, we need to call 911 for this reason, you need to call your doctor for this reason, and he really has stopped. Like, he made an appointment with his PCP and has not called 911, I don't think, for a while now. And we also want to educate people on utilizing mental health services and making sure that they know it's okay to have a mental health crisis. Like, it's okay to be diagnosed with depression. Like, you're not any different than me. Like, you are a human being just like I am, and it's okay to have that diagnosis. It does not make you any different than myself. And then just enhanced collaboration between law enforcement and mental health professionals. Again, we want to educate the citizens that police officers, they're not bad people. They are going to help you just like I'm going to help you. So this is just some data that has been collected from myself over the last 6 months, because I started in October, but by the time I got out of training, it was November 1st. So the biggest thing you can see is community policing. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically following up sometimes, because like I said, I'm not 24/7. So a lot of the officers, if they have stuff that happens overnight or on the weekends, they are kind enough to send me an email with the person's information, and I follow up that next day or whenever I come back to work. And that happens for the entire county. Community policing is also, so when I go on follow-ups, sometimes I ride with them, sometimes I do follow-ups on my own, and just really reassuring that to these people, like, I am here for you. Whether I'm not there on the scene, I am here for you, and I will follow up with you and get you connected to services. So if you can see 52 individuals, so 17% I've successfully de-escalated, and others refused, taken to the hospital. You can see all that. So another thing too I want to talk about is Rhonda's house. Are any of you familiar with Rhonda's house? Some shaking heads no, some are shaking heads yes. Rhonda's house is a peer respite house in DeWitt. It's a 5 to 7 day stay, does not cost you anything. How I refer it to people is, and they've said this to me too, it's basically like a little vacation from your current situation. So say you just experienced a domestic violence situation and you just do not want to be in the household with that same individual. So let's get you connected to Rhonda's house, and they can help you get connected to resources too. Not everyone can go. They did just change the rules recently that if you are 100% homeless, they cannot take you. They do want you to have an address that you can go back to, because they do not feel comfortable with sending people out back on the streets, which is totally valid. How the process for Rhonda's house is, you have to call their intake number. They do like a little application over the phone, basic like demographics, getting to know your current situation, what brought you to want to go to Rhonda's house. And then they'll say, yes, you can come, or no, you can't. Sometimes their beds are full, sometimes they aren't. I believe it's 5 beds. And we get an email every day of how many beds are available. So that's really good to utilize for the community members. So mobile crisis, are any of you familiar with mobile crisis? So mobile crisis, I will forever preach about mobile crisis because it is so needed in every community. It really emphasizes the strength for mental health. Mobile crisis is a 24/7, 365 hotline number that you can call. You can call for whatever reason. If you are feeling sad and just need to get something off your chest, call. If you are feeling depressed and just need to call. If you're really emphasize if you're feeling suicidal, if you're just having those thoughts like I don't want to be here anymore, call the mobile crisis 9. They do have 2 trained counselors that can come to your residence at whatever day or time, and they can work through whatever it is you're going through. And then we can also get you connected to care coordination services. So if you say, man, yeah, I really want someone to follow up with me, I need that extra support, Mobile Crisis sends us that referral with your basic information, and we get you connected to our care coordinator. So I'm the co-responder, so I'm with people in the heat of the moment right there on scene. I get them de-escalated, and I talk to them about, hey, you need more support, let's get you connected to our care coordinator. That is longer term, they can be on your case list for 30 plus days, and we get you connected to whatever your resources are. Say you just lost a job, we can get you connected to our employment specialist. Say you have a substance abuse problem and you just can't get it figured out on your own. My colleague Liz, she does substance abuse evaluations right there in the community or right there in the jails, and she can send you to treatment just like that. It's phenomenal how fast she works. And then others, if you don't understand what that means, it just means they left. They went to another community, found help elsewhere. Does anyone have questions on this? No? Okay. The next slide is pretty self-explanatory too, pretty much the same thing. I do help any age, primarily adults, though it's pretty rare for me to help kids. Obviously, if I'm helping out in the school district, my numbers will be higher for that during the school year. I have helped some kids, and we also have kid care coordination too. So we have 0 to 5, and then 5 to 18 children's care coordinators. I think we have 5. I feel like we keep getting new people, and then it's just, and we also have, so Amber is our adult care coordinator for Jackson County, and again, 18 plus, handles any age range. But yeah, it's pretty similar to the slide before, and that's just how many like crisis response calls I've had for the last 6 months. So I just have a couple success stories that I want to talk about here. I have more than 2, but we're not going to take up too much time. So a few months back, we got called to a possible suicide. Upon arrival, like we did see that the person had done it successfully. And so we were contacting the family. The family was on the way. And so this is where I come into, like I help with death notifications. I help people work through what they're going through after losing a loved one. I was able to sit all the family members that were there on scene. I sat them down and talked to them and just let them cry it out. And I was just a really good shoulder for them to lean on during that time. But in a situation like this, because of how traumatic that situation is, I did also call mobile crisis to come help assist in the situation. And they were there. After I left the scene with the officers, mobile crisis was kind enough to stay there for a couple more hours with the family. In situations with death, I tell people when I'm there, I'm like, I'm gonna be in your ear. I'm not just leaving you today, I'm gonna be following up with you tomorrow, next week, a month from now, 6 months from now, because when someone loses someone, you know, like those emotions are gonna hit, come and go for the next, you know, it's not something that's never gonna go away, but I'm here to help make that process easier for you. The next situation was an individual. She was in a psychosis state. She was outside of a business here in town, and she was yelling a lot, threatening people's lives, threatening her life. The officer, I was not with the officer when he arrived on scene, but they dispatched me to come on scene with him, so I met him there. I told the individual to meet me outside because it's not safe for you to be inside around these people, and it's not safe for you to be in here. She did come outside with me. She was still pretty frustrated and angry because in her head, she was hearing things and seeing things that weren't really there. There was thoughts in her head that were telling her to say these things. And I calmed her down. I took her around the corner because she just kept looking back at the officer and saying things about him. And I said, don't look at the officer. You look at me. I'm talking to you. And I want to know what's going on so we can work through this. It did take a little bit, but she was finally able to calm down. And I continued to like work through those thoughts and really reassure her so she feels validated, you know, because she kept saying, people think I'm crazy. When I talk to people, I don't want them to think that they're crazy. I want them to feel heard. I want them to feel seen, like their feelings are being validated. And I say this was a success for me because the officer I was with was prepared to take her to jail or have her be committed because of the things she was saying. But she was already taking necessary precautions for her mental health. She was seeing a therapist and was on her medication. She just was not taking the medication, so that's where we get her connected to our care coordinator to make sure she continues those resources as appropriate. And then instead of, again, having her be committed, her friend that she was living with did come pick her up, and she was fine the rest of the day. And so I'd say that was a good success because of the state that she was in. I was able to de-escalate her. And then these are just some random pictures. The one in the top corner with the officers of the school, that's Lunch with the Law that the officer started. And just some random things that you can see, like what a day-to-day looks like. I'm with the officer all day in their squad car, helping them on a case or assisting them with the call that we just were on. That's in the one with the blue dress, that's with Assistant County Attorney Brian. So again, I'm with at the courthouse all the time. The one in the upper right, left-hand corner with two lovely ladies, those are outreach events. I'm actually doing an outreach event this Wednesday for Art in the Green Space. So it's just kind of a little image of stuff I do. And then my business card is the next slide, which I passed around my business cards for all of you. Any questions? I know that's a lot to process, a lot to think about.
No, your services are very much needed, and I appreciate the work that you put
Thank
into
you.
it.
Yeah, they are very needed.
How long is your contract running with the city and county?
Well, so my contract is not through the city, it's through Robert Young Center, and I think it's 3 to 5 years. They just recontracted me for 3 to 5 years.
Okay, great.
That's good.
And so again, so I'm here to help lessen the arrest numbers and help people not continue to do the same thing, not continue to do the same crime, not call 911 all the time. Instead of calling 911, call me, and I'm fine with that.
Okay,
Any other questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. All right, I guess we'll move on now to our consent agenda. And did you have something you wanted to add, Josh, to that one?
Negative.
Okay. We have the minutes of the June 16th regular meeting. We have bills payable through July 7th, 2025, in the amount of $834,256.20. A renewal Class E retail liquor license filed by Casey's Marketing Company, number 2846. We have a new special Class C retail alcohol license filed by the Maquoketa Firefighters Association. And finally, a new tobacco device permit for Main Street Tobacco. Okay, got a motion by Colister,
Second.
seconded by Alinger. Do we have any discussion here? Take the roll.
Lyon,
Yes.
Colister,
Yes.
Alinger,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Simonson,
Yes.
Rickrell.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. We have no old business, so we'll go into new business. Item A is a resolution regarding the collection of payment for city costs to abate nuisances and enforce ordinances.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Colister, seconded by Bennett. Any discussion here? Then take the roll.
Colister,
Yes.
Alinger,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Simonson,
Yes.
Rickrell,
Yes.
Lyon.
Yes.
Okay, that one passes. Item B is a resolution approving fees and charges for city equipment and services.
So moved.
Motion by Colister,
Second.
seconded by Alinger. Any discussion here? Take the roll.
Alinger,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Simonson,
Yes.
Rickrell,
Yes.
Lyon,
Yes.
Colister.
Yes.
All right, that one passes. Item C is a resolution setting a public hearing for July 21st, 2025 at 6 p.m. on the matter of former Clinton Engines site opportunity analysis. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Happy you gave me a chance there. I'm truly thrilled to start presenting some of this because there's, last year we signed about a $75,000 environmental consultant contract to move us forward through the state of Iowa's DNR land recycling program. And so we're about 2/3 paid and through that contract, and we're progressing right through the requirements that the DNR has set for the city. And some of this seems too good to be true, and we've revisited with the DNR to make sure we're on the right track, and everything's a green light for the city at this point. So we've entered a phase where we had to start communicating with a land reuse market expert, and while we in Maquoketa really kind of have a strong feel for what works and what might not, a broader expert experienced in this field and has done several model reports, was asked to get involved for the purpose for any grant making in the future. So we had an opportunity to have a lot of focus group inputs from real estate agents to business folks to the Clinton Engines Museum, Jackson County Historical Society. And they all had really, really strong hour-long interviews with this consultant. So long story short, I feel like for the first time, the city's on the offense with this property, and the community should be proud that we're now at a point to really move this along if we wish. So had another very positive call with the Iowa DNR this morning, And I'm happy to involve the partners that have worked very hard on this at the next council meeting to discuss this report, which you'll have a presentation and public hearing for.
Okay, anybody else? Take the roll, I guess.
So moved.
Oh, motion by Colister,
Second.
seconded by Lyon. Any discussion? Take the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Simonson,
Yes.
Rickrell,
Yes.
Lyon,
Yes.
Colister,
Yes.
Alinger.
Yes.
Okay, that one passes. Next is a resolution approving an option to purchase and property assessment agreement between the city of Maquoketa and Paul Tondrum. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. And Kelly's online for questions if you have any that are more specific than my knowledge. But you may recall or you may not know that the city was the recipient of a State of Iowa Economic Development Authority grant to certify our industrial park through their Rural Certified Sites program. So if you're a site selector for a manufacturing company and you're looking for the next 50-acre spot that a Family Dollar is going into, for example, or distribution, you go to the state of Iowa's website to a dashboard called Lois, where you're in a sea of hundreds or 1,000 like properties like ours. This program is designed to put you sort of on front page news of that program and give you a featured listing for manufacturers or site selectors if they're looking to expand. So all in all, the city and its contributing partners have a dollar for dollar match up to a certain dollar amount in this. And the greater the property size and availability that we have, the stronger our acreage will look for potential investors to come in to look at our land. So Paul Tonderum and Paul Tonderum's dad are really part of the major reason that Family Dollar Distribution, Husco, are in Maquoketa. And Paul has been very gracious and development friendly with this. This is an option agreement. So if the city was ever to be faced with an offer within the 3-year period of this site certification, that the city could exercise the option to purchase, which is really just a pass along for the company coming in to purchase it. So Paul was still, I guess, considerate of the home that's there on the property now, and he successfully put into a contract exempting 4 acres, which is one of the minor stipulations in it. But if we wanted to include his acreage in this pursuit, this must be done. And so we must acknowledge it, and the next item's pretty well related to it. I'd be happy to ask any questions because this item's a bit multi-layered and is somewhat real estate related, and I can answer any questions.
So this resolution is for a 3-year period max?
Yes, the contract would reflect that because that's how long the certified sites program would last.
Gotcha. Okay.
Anybody else?
So moved.
Okay, I got a
Second.
motion by Colister, seconded by Bennett. Any discussions here? Then take the roll.
Simonson,
Yes.
Rickrell,
Yes.
Lyon,
Yes.
Colister,
Yes.
Alinger,
Yes.
Bennett.
Yes.
Okay, that one passes. Next is a resolution approving a right of first refusal agreement between the city of Maquoketa and Paul Tondrum.
So moved.
Motion by Colister, seconded by Bennett. Any discussion here? I'm gonna take the roll.
Rickrell,
Yes.
Lyon,
Yes.
Colister,
Yes.
Alinger,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Simonson.
Yes.
Okay, that one passes. Item F is a resolution setting a public hearing for July 25th, 2025 at 6 p.m. regarding a conditional rezoning request to Agriculture District A1 by Big Country Property LLC on Jackson County parcel 145183040000200.
So moved.
Motion by Colister,
Second.
seconded by Bennett. Do we have any discussion here? No, take the roll.
Lyon,
Yes.
Colister,
Yes.
Alinger,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Simonson, Rickrell.
Yes.
Okay, that one passes. Item G is a resolution approving a change order number 4, reducing in the amount of $3,000 for the stormwater levy improvement project. Motion by Colister, seconded by Rickrell. Any discussion?
Well, Mayor, I was just gonna say that this is sort of the fun part of the agenda where you all get to consider change orders, but we actually have a couple deducts of major value here, so I hope we don't get it too hard tonight. This is really what I feel like is construction conclusion season, where people are coming in with the final quantities and change orders, and some of these payment by motion items follow some of these change order reconciliations. So this one was reviewed in particular by our Public Works Committee. It just wasn't in final form yet. It was in draft at that time. It's ready for council action now.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second
Motion
already.
and second,
We can
yeah,
wait for a
motion and
roll call
second.
vote.
So take the roll.
Colister,
Yes.
Alinger,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Simonson,
Yes.
Rickrell,
Yes.
Lyon.
Yes.
Okay, that one passes. Item H is a resolution accepting work of contract on the Stormwater Improvement 2022 rebid project. Anything to add?
I don't. John and the crew have been, how many times have they been out to train? A couple times at least?
Yeah.
To go over the system. So we're pretty well aware as staff that we didn't just get a project here and we're walking away. There's something of a maintenance agreement and maintenance schedule that we'll have to make sure that these pump stations work when we need them. So John has been working closely with the engineer and the contractor to make sure that we follow the program as intended. So it's been pretty high on staff's mind since. So I feel comfortable recommending this to you.
Motion by Colister,
Second.
seconded by Bennett, or Engelinger. If we have no discussion, take the roll.
Alinger,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Simonson,
Yes.
Rickrell,
Yes.
Lyon,
Yes.
Colister.
Yes.
Okay, that one passes. Item I is a resolution approving change order number 3, increase in the amount of $5,139.10 payable to Midwest Concrete for the South Main and Summit Street intersection project.
Thank you, Mayor. And I don't have an extreme amount of knowledge on this, and I know that the seeding part of it was one of the initial delays before we opened it up. But apparently there was a topsoil misquantity that was pretty heavy, and it resulted in a $5,000 change. This came through Jackson County Engineering and was recommended for approval, and it builds into the next motion for payment. All in all, very well underneath the state grant limit, and I recommend this for action.
Has there been any concern from the people that live at that intersection on the seed that was put? Have you received any complaints on the weeds?
No, no, to answer your question, but when it was about to occur, we had questioned what the value was in doing a sodding change. And according to state specs, you have to plant, or I guess compress sod in by June 1st. And we were past that date, so we couldn't affect that change whatsoever. So, I mean, the only thing that we've not really talked about with the residents is, you know, at what point could they help us out with watering and getting that grass to where it needs to be, and the city be open to that conversation. But no one specifically has come to us and said, hey, this looks awful. You know, what can we do differently at this point? But everything was put in as spec for this project, and it's also not a city project, and I feel like we're not as adaptable as for some of the contract because this is backed by the state.
I can tell you if it was my grass, you'd be hearing from me.
Yeah.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Colister,
Second.
seconded by Bennett. There's no discussion, take the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Simonson,
Yes.
Rickrell,
Yes.
Lyon,
Yes.
Colister,
Yes.
Alinger.
Yes.
Okay, that one passes. Item J is a discussion and possible motion approving a pay application number 3 in the amount of $78,622.54 to Midwest Concrete Incorporated for the South Main and Summit Street intersection project. Go ahead. We have a motion by Colister, seconded by Rickrell. Any discussion here? Then take the roll.
Simonson,
Yes.
Rickrell,
Yes.
Lyon,
Yes.
Colister,
Yes.
Alinger,
Yes.
Bennett.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Next is a resolution approving change order number 7 to increase in the amount of $8,677 payable to Sheets Design and Build LLC for the Sunshine Learning Center project. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Recently, there was a preliminary final walkthrough. So as Sheets is coming into their final improvements on site, They took a look around, and not just because construction, but other elements of the project, just blue tape and things that are messed up in the building still. And what amounted to that were a number of ceiling repairs, and I didn't know damaged toilet flanges could cost this much, but apparently that is the case. And electrical changes that make the functionality of the property much better. These have been owner-directed. The owners, Sunshine, are well aware of the financial agreement they hold with the city to make up this $40,000 through private fundraising and loans at the end of the project. So we're a pass-through to this, and I guess as a manager and understanding their financials and their loan structure, at the end of this project, I would feel comfortable knowing that they're going to be able to fund these items, and there's an escrow for the private fundraising in place currently to fund what they need to. So the change order should occur. I recommend it for action. I don't have a bill that follows this, but they're walking into kind of completion at this point. July 19th, they have an open house at 10 a.m., so they're starting to advertise what's occurred there. And if you haven't driven by, it's a little bit jaw-dropping and awe-inspiring how different it looks just from its facade and concrete parking lot. So I encourage you to be involved and to take a look at what's occurred there. It's a good project.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion by Colister,
Second.
seconded by Alinger. Do we have any discussion here? Then take the roll.
Rickrell?
Yes.
Lyon?
Yes.
Colister?
Yes.
Alinger?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Simonson?
Yes.
Okay, that one passes. Item I is a resolution approving change order number 1 and 2 deduction in the total amount of $20,405.27 payable to Boomerang Corp. For the Maquoketa Municipal Airport runway reconstruction 15 end project, runway 15E end project. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I recommend approving this and running away with it. This is good news, I think, for a project I think the council begrudgingly passed to complete the airport's progress and put us in good position given all the prior planning we had done. Beyond what I had just stated, I think that John and I have a really high opinion of this engineering firm that helped us out, and Boomerang, who's somewhat based locally, and how they responded. So I know that John really had the lead on that and had a lot of great things to say about this project. So.
So moved.
Okay, a motion by Colister, seconded by Bennett. Any discussion? Take the roll.
Lyon?
Yes.
Colister?
Yes.
Alinger?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Simonson?
Yes.
Rickrell?
Yes.
Okay, that one passes. Item M is a discussion and possible motion approving payment number 4 in the amount of $279,931.84 payable to Boomerang Corporation for the Maquoketa Municipal Airport Reconstruction Runway 15 End Project.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Colister, seconded by Alinger. Any discussion here? Then take the roll.
Colister?
Yes.
Alinger?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Simonson?
Yes.
Rickrell?
Yes.
Lyon?
Yes.
Okay, that one passes. Item N is a resolution accepting completed work for the reconstruction runway 15 end, Maquoketa, Iowa, FFA AIP project number 3-19-0055-016 fiscal year 25.
So moved.
Motion by Colister,
Second.
seconded by Alinger. Any discussion here? Then take the roll.
Alinger?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Simonson?
Yes.
Rickrell?
Yes.
Lyon?
Yes.
Colister?
Yes.
Okay, we make it to reports and communications. Do we have anything from any of the council members? Okay. City manager?
I do not, thank you.
Okay, I'd accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Rickrell,
Second.
seconded by Bennett. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned.